Here we go. Good morning, hello, and welcome to Garage Declutter Workshop. Awesome to have you here today. As you're coming in, introduce yourself in the chat. We're going to use that as our main way of communication today. Introduce yourself, tell us where you're joining us from, and also what's accumulating at your house and what your challenges are. We've already had Steve introduce himself from the Sunshine Coast, and he said he's got stuff everywhere. My amazing virtual assistant, Mary Lou, is joining us from the Philippines. Thank you, Mary Lou, always for your great work and for getting everybody here, because Mary Lou does all our social media. And so you are here, everybody, on behalf of that. And Bill Moore, one of our regulars, is here as well, Steve, Alan, and Joan as well. So great to have you all here. So we're going to get stuck in. We are going to record this, as I just did. Press the record button, and we will share it with other people that were unable to attend today that registered, and also we'll pop it on YouTube so other people can see this Garage Declutter workshop. We'd love to hear from you. As I said, what are you looking for help and inspiration on today? And what are you looking forward to learning? And also where you're joining us from. And you can also do that if you're just watching on replay on YouTube. Let us know those things as well, and I'll get back to you. But also wanted to let you know a little bit about space and time and what to expect today from our workshop. I will introduce myself shortly, but my business, Space and Time, is all about helping people declutter and organize their space and time, and be able to help them make conscious decisions on how they use their space and their time. They might have grown up learning how to do something a particular way, but for whatever reason, they just haven't either been able to pick it up and use it, or it's just not right for them. So let's come up with some good systems and ways of doing things, of organizing your space and time that work for you and your family right now. Might have worked for you as a teenager, or when you had legs, or before you're in a wheelchair. You know, there's lots of reasons why we end up finding ourselves a little bit disorganized. So we're going to talk about that in relation to decluttering and organizing the garage today. Let us know in the chat what your intention is. What are you looking forward to learning? And at the end of the session, I'll make an offer to you to join one of our some additional upcoming free workshops like this, but also some one-on-one coaching with me if you're having difficulties getting this stuff done. Let's get some accountability and let's get some appointments in the diary so that you get these jobs done. We'll share that offer with you later. Here I am. My name is Julie Cliff. I am a declutter coach and professional organizer. I live here in Melbourne. I've been running my own business for 8 years, and before that I was an executive assistant and administrator, and always loved helping others get and stay organised. Found a group of professional organisers and found out that I could help people get and stay organised in their homes. And so that's what I do now. I do hands-on help with people each and every day, although I'm having a day off today, which is very rare, Mary Lou. We'll talk to you a bit later about that. And also, as I said, found a group of organisers and understood that this is a thing. And as I said, started that 8 years ago, and also do online coaching and decluttering like this program we're doing today. And also married with a couple of teenagers, and both those boys are off at school at the moment. So that's a little bit about me. So before we get stuck into the content that I wanted to share, I just wanted to tee up and set up about our mindset about our garage and what it's going to be used for, and the problems that I see in people's garages when I'm working in them often. Rain, hail, shine, touch wood, and thankfully I haven't been in one for a few weeks, but one of the recent ones I did, it was 42 degrees. It was one of the hottest Melbourne days we'd had in years, and that was really hard work, but was delighted that my client was working with me, and we got a lot done that day. But anyway, I digress. The problems that I see in people's garages, that they're often just a dumping ground for broken stuff. They just haven't got around to getting rid of the item that they no longer need, and it just gets dumped in there. There's no room for their car, so they're parked on the street or in the driveway. There ends up tripping hazards. You can't get to the things that you want because they're tucked up the back of the garage. A lot of the time, people don't even know what's in their garages. And oftentimes there's boxes of unpacked stuff from their previous move. So that's something that these are some of the things that I see when I am at people's homes and working in their garages. So why would you want to declutter your garage? Well, some of those reasons are the opposite of what we just were talking about. We want to make it a bit easier to park your car, better use of the space, easy to find items, easy to find them, but also put them back where they live, making it safer so that dangerous tools and equipment are safe, so that you're not, running into the chainsaw or garden appliances and those sorts of things. And also making it more safe for you to park your car in there. You wouldn't want, a garden spade or something to fall down and dent or damage your car. And we want to protect our valuable items, again, like expensive tools or your car. And you want to make that space more efficient so that you can find your way around. So these are some of the reasons that we might like to declutter our garage. Let me know if there's any other reason that you want to declutter your garage. Pop that in the chat. And anyone that's just joined us recently, hello and welcome. Our participation today is going to be used via the chat. So if you've got some questions in particular about organising and decluttering your space, use that chat and ask questions as you're going along. Let us know where you're joining us from too, because I know we've got people joining us from all over the world, which is very fun. So as I said just before, we want to get really clear on what we want to use our garage for. So do you need to have room to put the car in? Do you need room for sports equipment, tools or garden gear, or storage for household items? I want you to get clear on what the garage is going to be used for and set boundaries and rules around that. Some places that I've worked in, they just have no storage in the home and they really have to use their garage as storage. I wouldn't say that they particularly have too much stuff in their home. They just have no storage. It might be a small home or, 2-bedroom, and they've got, they're all 4 of them are squeezing into a very small space. So they have no option but to use the garage as storage, but that's up to you. And as I said, you want to set some clear boundaries and rules for you and other people that are using your garage, whether it's yourself or your family, so that we get clear on what it's going to be used for. I'm just having a quick look at the chat. We had another couple of people joining from Queensland. Steve said he's had some big bulky items that need to be protected from the weather. Yeah, I understand that, Steve, and that takes up space, doesn't it, when you're using your garage for other things. And Gloria, good on you. Thanks for coming. She's from San Diego and says want to build a craft and woodworking center area. Fantastic. That's a great thing to be thinking about and having space for. The iPhone, not sure who it is, but hello, iPhone from Box Hill in Victoria, just around the corner from me. And Jade says hello from Florida. So thank you so much, everybody, from coming and learning about decluttering and organising our garage. So if you've been here before, you will have heard about the space and time organising system. It's a 6-step process that we'll go through. And we will go through these in detail in a second in relation to decluttering and organising the garage. The first step is stop more stuff from going in the garage in the first place. The second step is get committed, or what's your commitment to being organised. Third step is sort the stuff. That's a very, very handy step when you're getting organised in the garage. The fourth step is things you no longer need, easy storage, and then maintenance tools. So if you're, I deliberately created these 6 steps in this particular order because there's no point in starting to get yourself organized when there's still more stuff from coming in. Or there's no point buying a heap of containers and boxes and things for the garage when you don't even know what we're storing. We want to do the decluttering first, have a good idea of what we're storing in our garage, and then all the way down, as I said, in the 5th step, we're going to do the storage, and then followed up with maintenance. So this, as I mentioned, all these 6 steps are deliberately put together in this sequence. All right, so we're going to start with the first one, which is stop the stuff. So we already talked about what the big deal is having too much stuff in the garage. It's just too hard to use. It's frustrating. It's overwhelming. You're looking everywhere. There's stuff everywhere, and it can be just really, heighten your emotions. And things just take up the precious space that you could be using for something else. As Gloria said, they want to be able to use that space for woodworking. And I'm sure there's other people that would like to be able to use the spaces for other cool things and fun things, creative things, rather than just being full up with stuff. So we want to stop more from coming in so that we can do all these cool things. I'm going to share some ideas on stopping the stuff. And I did touch on that before with the idea of having a process of letting things go as soon as they're no longer wanted, rather than just dump them in the garage. And that the same can be said here for toys that the kids outgrow. So if it's a bike or a trike, or even a particular type of Lego, something like that, donate it or sell it straight away. Don't even put it in the garage in the first place. Get yourself into a good habit, create your own process to be able to let those things go straight away. I know sometimes we do need to store those things ready for younger kids and that sort of thing. And that really comes down to what you're deciding you're using the garage for, that we spoke about before we started this first step. But if you're, if you're not going to use it, make the time to let it go straight away. We are going to be talking more and more about letting stuff go that's already in the garage down the track. But this is talking about stopping more stuff from going in there. Don't even put it in there in the first place. And the same can be said for discarded appliances, like if you upgrade your coffee machine or somebody else gives you a new toaster and the other one you're not using anymore. Just consider selling it or letting it go straight away. I've been using our local Buy Nothing group on Facebook often. Here I have got rid of like a whole house, literally a whole house of stuff by putting it on these local groups. A Good Karma might be another one. Look up some Facebook groups on where you can let go of these things. So that's just a quick photo, put it on the group, or ask a friend or a neighbour if they would like it before dumping it on their front door. Don't just go and dump things at their house either. But my point being, don't put things in the garage in the first place. Let that go. And the same can be said for storing clothing. I know I mentioned before that sometimes we don't have any option but to use the garage as extra storage for your home because you might not have much. But I really want you to have a good think about, as I said, what we're using the garage for. And most of the time, the garage is probably not the best place to be keeping some of these, particularly clothing items that might get damp and mold or those sorts of things. So try and reduce the amount of stuff that we are putting in the garage in the first place. And I'd love to hear of what we were just talking about, stopping more stuff from going in the garage. What will you commit to not putting in the garage, and how will you stop putting more things in there? So pop that in the chat. Speaking of the chat, I'm just going to have a quick look. Hello, Katrina. Thanks for joining us from Blackburn. So good to see you. Thank you so much. And if anyone else has just joined us, let us know where you're joining us from and what you need help with in your garage. Let me have a look at the second step. And that one is your commitment to being organised. Now, there is no magic wand. Unfortunately, getting organised and staying organised takes a bit of time, takes commitment, and takes focus and persistence. So, as I said, there's no magic thing where you can just click your fingers and it all be gone. Although if you want to invite me or another professional organizer to your home, we can certainly help with that. But again, it still takes time and commitment and focus. And the big thing that I wanted to talk to you today is about breaking the tasks down into small pieces so that we can make it more manageable. And you probably will need to change the way that you're doing things in relation to your garage. If you've got yourself in a little bit of a muddle, well, maybe we need to have some new habits, as we were talking about before, letting things go as soon as they're no longer needed, like the old coffee machine. Or you might want to go back to something and a way that you used to do it. You know, maybe you used to be really good at putting the lawnmower straight back in the garage straight away. It was a great habit that you used to do, but you've gone away from that habit for whatever reason. We want to come back to those things that are working or create some new habits for being committed to being organised. And my biggest tip in relation to this, and it's the same with decluttering, no matter where it is in the home, is to set the timer for 10 minutes, use your watch, use your phone, get the old kitchen timer out and just put it on for 10 minutes and start somewhere. There's no right and wrong place to start. You could do a shelf if you've got some storage shelves in the garage, the top of the workbench. On the floor is often a good place to start to make it more safe for you to work around, and just start. Get that timer on, and it certainly makes it much easier when we're breaking it down into these little chunks. And then after that, I want you to regularly schedule time to continue on this journey of decluttering your space. You're not going to get it done in a day, probably. It sounds like a really big job, but you might not have that much stuff. You might get it done in a day, but my clients and my workshop attendees tell me they have a lot of success by just doing 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. You can extend it if you have a little bit more time than that, but this consistent work does so much good work. You know, there's small steps. So regularly do that. And I really can't stress this step enough about getting your time in the diary to work on your decluttering projects. We know what it's like, how difficult it is to catch up with family for dinner or a friend for a beer or a coffee. If it's not in the diary, it never happens. The same can be said for decluttering. So I want you to literally get out a planner, get out your weekly diary or a page like this one here on the left, and circle some dates. Put an exact time, 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock on Thursday, I'm going to start on this project. This is your commitment to being organised. You're not mucking around. You are being focused, you're being committed, and you want to get this job done. And then continue to schedule more and more time to get the work done, particularly in the garage that we're talking about today. So as I was saying, this is all about being committed to being organised. You might need to change the way that you're doing things. You need to definitely get it in the diary. And I'd like to know, when will you start on your project? Pop it in the chat so that we know what we're doing. Let me have a look at the chat as well. Jade says, I've been making it a habit to drop a bag to recycle and donations once a week. Jade, that's awesome. I love that idea. You might be on your way to the grocery shops, or, you know, whatever it is. Put that as a part of your weekly or daily routine to make decluttering a focus. Jade, I love it. Well done. Thanks for sharing. And Joan says, I make sure if I add something to it. So I think that might mean, is that one in, one out type thing, Joan? I think that's what they might be talking about there. Yeah, the one in, one out rule. If you're going to bring in something new, something else has to go out. So that's about getting organised, because if you're not going to treat this seriously, you're not going to get very far. So this is the step 3 of the space and time organizing system, and it's sort the stuff. I love this step. I was sorting paperwork with a client yesterday, and I was so happy. I was putting piles of receipts together, some bank statements, there was things from the tax office, there was memorabilia. So we're just starting to sort it out. And that's exactly what we're talking about doing in the garage here. What we want to do is to break the task down into small parts, like I said, 10 minutes, half an hour regularly, and start on the floor so that making it safer, and start to group items together. On the left here is more of a display. I think it's very cute, this picture that I've got here, but this is same sort of thing. They've got the pliers together, they've got the screwdrivers together, and you can easily start to see what you've got and how it's going to help us decide what to store later on and how to let things go. But sorting is such a good way for you can see what you've got. And as a real natural flow starts to happen when you start to sort things. If you're looking at tools, rather than just having this big box of tools, once you start to get them out and put the pliers together, put the wrenches together, put the spanners and all the bits and pieces in a little category together, it really starts to make things a lot easier when you can see what you've got. Just let me check the chat here before I go on further. Yeah, I'll come back to that in a second. Okay, we were talking about 10 minutes. I will just read what we've got here. Linda says, take everything out of the garage onto the driveway, sweep, and in 10 minutes. You wouldn't get all of that done in 10 minutes, I don't think, but depending what you've got in the garage, that sounds like a good idea. Take things out, sweep, and put them back in. But 10 minutes is certainly a good start. Steve thinks he would work better if he did a whole day. Good on you. I hope that does work well for you. Good on you, Steve. That sounds like a great commitment. Gloria says ongoing purging taking place, also installing shelvings, yep, and getting items off the floor to organize and keeping it in eyesight. I love it. Purging 4 square feet at a time, Gloria. I love that. Good on you. I think that's a fabulous way to start decluttering and organizing. All right, I'm going back to the slides now. We jump all over the place when people have got some things to contribute. So again, we are talking about sorting the stuff. So we can, if we have sports equipment in the garage, we can start sorting that together, put all the cricket bats together, the stumps that go with it, the cricket balls, the bouncy balls, the footballs, the soccer balls, and you can sort them that way to see what you've got. Again, we're not really decluttering at the moment. We're just sorting to help our brains process all the information. You can also do the same with the tools, like we just said, and gardening supplies. So use that technique to be able to help you out. And this is a key step, this sorting one, and helping you make a more organised and functional space. Wondering what category will you start with? A few of you have already given us some examples of how they would like to go on their decluttering journey. But if you've got a lot in your garage, what will you start with? What's that category? Could you run around and grab all the tape measures? Could you grab all the garden forks? Could you, what category would you put together first so that this sorting process starts to help you on your decluttering journey? All right, I'm going to jump straight in now to things you no longer need. So this is all about letting things go that you no longer need. And people do have a lot of difficulties letting things go. I have a lot of conversations with my clients about their attachment to their stuff, all their memories, the memorabilia. So I wanted to touch on some of those things because there could be some of those precious items in the garage here. Some of the things might not be that precious, like a shovel. You might not have much attachment to that. But here are some tips to overcome the difficulty of letting items go. A good question to ask yourself is, when was the last time you used it? My client that I was with on Tuesday, and I think they might be here online with us today, said they haven't used their lawnmower for about 5 years because they have a gardener that comes around now. So they don't, perhaps they could sell or pass on that lawnmower to somebody else, considering it hasn't been used for a very long time. So if you've got an item like that you're not going to use, pass it on to somebody else. That doesn't work for Christmas decorations. You only use them every 12 months, so don't let them go because they've been hanging around for a while. But you might be able to declutter some of them. But that's a good question to ask yourself. When was the last time you used the item? If it's been a number of years, it's probably something that would be easy to let go. And consider the condition that it's in as well. If it's not working or it's broken or beyond repair, you've had a go at it, it's in pieces, it's no good anymore, it's time to let it go. And again, talking about those Facebook Marketplace, the Buy Nothing groups, the Good Karma groups, people often want the bits and pieces and the parts. Even if it's in pieces, you could still offer it to somebody for free. They may give you money for it, depending on the item. If it's a car in a lot of pieces, maybe somebody might give you some money for it. But have a, just pop it on Facebook or a local notice board or something like that. You might not be able to get it going, but somebody else might like the pieces to help them put their bit together. But just be mindful of the number of projects that you can undertake during the week as well. How much of your precious time do you want to spend on repairing things? How much of your precious time do you want to spend on, putting things back together again? If you could just pass it on to somebody else and free up some more space. So some other ideas and helpful tips about letting go of things you no longer need. We were just talking about, why are you hanging on to this stuff? Maybe there are some sentimental things, fear of needing it someday, or just don't know what to do with it. There might be some sentimental reasons why you're hanging on to it. So you can have a good think about that. And are those sentimental reasons stronger than the space that you will gain and the more memories and the exciting things that you're going to be able to create in that space? As Gloria said, I think it was Gloria said about having that as a workshop and woodworking. Well, there's no point having half of that space with a heap of old bikes and things just because that was your bike you used to ride when you were a teenager, when you could be using that space for something more creative and something fun for the future. So just see how you go with that sentimental trade-off. I think it's a really big one to be thinking about here. Oh, and we're going to go on to the next one. Also have a think about, to help you let go of things you no longer need, think about the time in your life that you are at now, your current lifestyle. Again, you're not 10 anymore. The bike that you used to ride then probably is no good for you to ride now. So you could let it go. And there may be some other sports equipment that you used to use or the kids used to live, but nobody can use it anymore because everybody's too big. You could clear up that space to use for something else if it's not fitting your current lifestyle. Maybe you used to go downhill skiing, but for whatever reason, you never go anymore. You're not fit enough, or you've developed some disability over the years and you can't go downhill skiing anymore. People love ski gear. Pass it on to somebody else, sell it to somebody else. These sentimental items that we're holding on to can be useful for other people. So thinking about your current lifestyle and how you're running your life is very helpful when you're looking around and thinking, is this something that I can use right now or not? Can I let it go? Another way that might help you let go of things you no longer need is to let go of duplicates. Now, you might have a lot of hammers or a lot of screwdrivers, and some of them may be for different reasons. I've given the example over the years that I found 16 wooden spoons in a the client's home one day. Yes, a lot of them were used for different baking needs and those sorts of things, but there were probably half of them that could go in the end. So just beware of how many of each item you're hanging on to. So it might be an easy way for you to let things go if you've got a lot of them. If they're all exactly the same item, consider passing it on if you can only use so many items at a time. And of course, I just touched on it before, the idea of I might use it one day. Well, there's every chance you won't use it one day. So consider freeing up that space for something else, these fun activities that we're going to be doing, to put the car in, as Steve said, to put the items in out of the weather. You might have a nice outdoor suite or something like that that you need to put in your garage in the winter time or something like that. Something that is really important to you because you love that piece of furniture, but I might use it one day is not a reason for putting it in the garage. If you do let go of an item and you find out that you need it again, perhaps you could just buy it again if it's inexpensive. I'm not saying just throw everything away and buy everything again. That's not what I'm suggesting, because there are definitely things in our lives that we want to hang on to and we wouldn't want to have to replace, or probably couldn't replace. But oftentimes, we're so close to being able to just get that item again, or even, as I said, repurchase or ask somebody on these buy, swap and get sell groups. I need a double bed. I need a single bed. I need a camping mattress for the weekend. And people are happy to get rid of it in their homes. And that means that if you've given something away and you went, oh, yeah, I do need it, you'll be able to get it again fairly easily. A lot of the time. Always could something else do if you to do that job, if you'd given it away and you realized you need it again. Like you might, you used to have a good yard broom with plastic bristles, but you've got a different one that will work pretty well the same. You can still sweep the leaves up with it. Could you use something else, or could you borrow it? If you accidentally gave the item away and you decided you needed it again, yeah, could you borrow it? Or join one of these local groups that swaps items. There are so many of them around these days, so that you don't have to hang on to items just in case you want to maybe use it one day, because that day may never come and you're hanging on to it and taking up this precious space that could be used for something else. I've talked about it a few times already, donating to amazing charities in your area. What is sentimental to you could be useful to somebody else, but also shift your perspective. There is far more joy in giving things away than can ever be found in owning more. And that came from becomingminimalist.com. That is, I'll repeat it again, there is far more joy in giving things away than can ever be found in owning more. What technique will you use for letting go of things you no longer need that I shared there? Or do you have another rule that helps you let go of things? The one in, one out type rule, or something like that? What do you use, particularly in relation to the garage and organising and decluttering your garage for helping you let go of things you no longer need? Would love to hear your thoughts. Pop it in the chat. All right, we're going to move on to step 5, easy storage for your stuff. Actually, before I do that, someone's popped something in the chat. Let me have a very quick look. Joan says, is there places that might take items in the garage, like tools? Yes, there would be, absolutely. You could ask your friends if they could help you with that, or you can have a look on Facebook. Just Google, where can I donate tools, or how can I sell tools? And you'll be able to find some good places to let those things go, absolutely. And different charities, just ask around, ask people in your local area, and see. I'm absolutely amazed, as I've said before, what I have given away from this local group. Maybe some people get them and sell them, they're not supposed to, but I don't particularly care. As long as I don't have to deal with it anymore, it's off of my plate, it's out of my front door, it's out of the garage, and somebody else can do whatever they want with it. Gloria says boxes with labels with date packed. That's a good idea, Gloria. Pack it all up, label it well, and put the date on it. And then if you come back in a couple of years, 2 years, 3 years, and you still haven't used it, maybe it's time for it to go. I love that idea. All right, we're talking about storage, easy storage for your stuff. Step 5, as I said, this is deliberately put in this part of the space and time organizing system. So we stopped more stuff from coming in. We got committed to being organized. We sorted our stuff and we've let some things go. Now we know what we are storing. So now we have a better idea of what sort of storage systems we might need. Is cardboard boxes going to be good? Do we need a bookshelf in there? Is there some sort of different storage rack that we might need? Like this fancy, beautiful one. This looks like a showroom. This is the most beautiful garage I've ever seen. And certainly not like a garage I've actually worked in before. But it's got a fantastic vertical racking system. Looks very sturdy. It's probably bolted to the wall and can put really heavy items on it. So that looks great. And there's some open shelves as well. There's a ladder you could hang a few things on, as well as be practical and helpful. The bike is off of the ground and out the road. And those pretty decorative wheel hubs, not sure what they're doing there, but they're there as well. So I'm going to show you a few different ways to store your stuff, but I'm really going to be talking about how you can do it and how you can think about storing your stuff. You can Google as many ideas for storage in your garage as you like. You could look up, again, Googling vertical storage for my bike, or how can I hang my shovel? How can I store hose from the garden hose? You know, there's lots of different things that you can look up and find the exact thing that you need for your garage. I'm just going to show a few different ways of doing things and how to use your space in your garage. Let's take a look. So what we can do is store by frequency of use. So what we can, we're going to use the lawnmower often and the gardening equipment often. Let's put them at the front of the garage where it's nice and easy to access, or the garden shed even, nice and easy to access. And you could probably put, you know, the Christmas decorations high up that might need a ladder to get to, and you don't use it very often. So we're really thinking about, how often do I use this item? Do I need it at my fingertips? Am I going to use it every week? Do I need the garden, you know, the clippers, the shears? Or is it something that we only use seasonally? So think about when you're storing your stuff, where you can put it based on how often you use the item. But also another way of how you can store stuff is to store it by function. So it might be all your automotive supplies together. This is actually a picture from a shop, I think, but it still gives you the same idea that you could do for storage in your home, with a little pegboard, with the little hangers on it, a shelf, a nice bench. You can still do all this and have all your tools beautifully organized like this. Or your camping gear might go together, and that might not be used very often. Again, talking about frequency of use. So have a think about the function and how that might help you use the item, and how it'll help you decide how to store it. Again, just jump on Google and ask, how do I store a heap of basketballs? Or how do I store my cricket gear? Something like that. If you've got a lot of a particular item, you can find lots of different ideas on Google. Again, looking at different types of tools. There might be lots of screwdrivers, power tools. Keep them all together and store them together if that is how you use them. And keep them in a nice area like this. Sometimes you might not have a whole wall to put your items. It might need to be just in a toolbox. So have a think about how you're using the item and how often you are using. Awesome. Thank you. Mary Lou has just come up with a link she found for donating tools. So this is a Brunswick School Library, which it's in Australia, but there might be something similar, Mary Lou, you're right, in some other places. So if you want to donate tools, as Joan asked, she might go, where can I donate tools, or can I swap tools or borrow tools, and something in your area might come up like that. But thank you, Mary Lou, for sharing that. And here are also a few other ideas on how to store stuff in your space. Don't forget about the vertical space. Don't forget about racks. Don't forget about wall hangings. Put things up off the floor to clear more space and take advantage of that vertical space, whether it's just with hooks on the wall like the bike is there on the left, or whether it's racks and shelves. So try and put things up. Again, you would put the things that you don't use very often, you might put up higher because you'd need to get a ladder to get to it. And the things that you use often sort of around your tummy, shoulder, knee height, and heavy things down the ground, so you're not having to lift things up. I had a client one time that wanted to put her sewing machine up in the top of the cupboard, and I think she did end up doing that, but I thought that was really dangerous. What would happen if you dropped the sewing machine on your head? I just thought that was a difficult thing to do. I'd much prefer heavier items down along the bottom. And invest in storage bins. So there's a heap of different plastic tubs and cubes there in this photo. Boxes often work well too, although they don't stack as well and probably don't last as long. But have a think about that. And again, we're doing this storage at this particular part because we've already done our decluttering. We know how many bins we're going to need. You can go specifically to the hardware store and get the number of items that you need for the storage. Gloria, good on you. I'm just checking the chat again. Garden tools to a community garden. That's a great idea. You could donate those tools for the community garden to use. Great idea. And here are just one or two more ideas for storage in your garage. Again, there's 100 billion different ideas for storing things. I just wanted you to have a different think about the frequency of use, using all your space, and how you're going to use your space. I forgot to say that this step is deliberately called easy storage, because if it's not easy, you're never going to put the item back to where it should live, back to its permanent home. So make it nice and easy to access. And this is a great way for easy access, using something like this, a magnetic strip. So you can secure them to the wall or the front of your bench, your workstation, wherever you are in the garage, and you can just simply plop them on there. The things are magnetic. Of course, it has to be a metal that will be attracted to the magnet. Can be bits and pieces, your screws, your drill bits, all at the tip of your fingers by using these magnetic strips. And you can do a whole wall of them. As I said, you can put them on the front of shelves. You can put these magnetic strips everywhere. They're really easy access. And we were talking about the vertical storage before. Don't forget about the overhead storage as well. This type of racking system, you would need some type of ladder to be able to get up there. But it's, you can easily park the car under it. It's not in the road at all. It's, just works so well to use these ceiling mounted storage systems and bits and pieces that you don't use very often, like the decorations and camping gear, can go up there and just be accessed periodically. We'd love to hear your thoughts as well about what's working in your garage. You might have something that's fabulous and you love in your garage for storage. Have you got a great place that your broom lives, or have you got a good spot that you hang up your bike helmets? Let me know, and in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So we're going on now to the maintenance tools, and we are making very good time here. And maintenance tools is not actually talking about physical tools, although we have been talking about physical tools a lot in this workshop today, but it's more like, how do you keep it organized once you declutter and organize your garage? And a great way to do that is to put stuff back as soon as you've used it. You use the garden shovel, put it back. You use those secateurs, put it back. You use the tape measure, put it back in the permanent home that we created in that easy storage step. Organized people are that way, as we said right at the start, because they are committed to being organized and they make a big effort to be that way. So you be an organized person too. You start doing what organized people do, and I'm no doubt you are organized, more organized than you think you are, probably quite organized in some areas more than others, and possibly, as I mentioned before, were really organized at some point in your life and life has just got in the road, but I reckon you can get back to it. So let's continue or get back to those things that organized people do, like putting time into decluttering, organizing and doing it regularly, and also making it a top priority for you. But also, if you're finding that difficult, get an accountability buddy to help you out. Get a friend or a neighbor or somebody that can either physically come and help you do this job, or you can just say, hey, I'm going to do 10 minutes in the garage on Thursday, and I'm going to tell you about it on Thursday afternoon, so they can keep you accountable. Or, drop me a message. Let me know. I'd love to be your accountability buddy. And as I said before as well, just start. It might take you a little while to get into it, but the job is often not as difficult as you think it's going to be if you just start. Just small little pieces, 10 minutes here, a shelf there, one drawer there, and having that good intention and a good picture in your mind what the space is going to be used for. Why are you doing all this work in the garage? How awesome it's going to be to have your studio space for your painting, for your drawing, for your woodwork, or to get the car in there. And just keep that as a part of your motivation for doing this work, and just give it a go. And also use reminders. What reminders have I had coming up today? They might all be gone. Of course, I had a reminder to come and do this workshop, and also to pay my awesome assistant Mary Lou this morning. So use your phone, use the tech, use your calendar that talks to your watch or your phone. That says, okay, you said you were going to do 10 minutes on the garage today, and it pops up and it goes bing to remind you to do it. So let the tech be your boss and do what the boss says. Or you can just go old school and have a little card like this that says, I can easily find what I want in 30 seconds or less. That might be perfect thing to think about when you're in your garage. I need a tape measure. Oh, there's one. I need an adjustable wrench. There's one. I need the leaf blower. So all of those things you could find in 30 seconds or less. And that's your motivation. That's how you're going to keep yourself going when we're doing this, this task that might take a little bit of time. So our recap for this workshop today is that your garage is a functional space, not a storage space, although we did talk about that a little bit, that sometimes it is a storage space as well, but avoid holding on to items that are no longer needed. We talked about stopping more stuff from coming in the garage. We're going to evaluate your reasons for holding on to the stuff and be committed to only keeping what's necessary. And we started the process by sorting like items, putting the tools together, putting the basketballs together, putting the ski gear together, whatever it might be. Donate and dispose of items that we no longer need. Just get them out, let them go. They're part of your past. Yes, they may have some special memories. Take a photo of it. Make a video about it. Write yourself a letter about it. You don't need the item to remind you about that time. It's in here. It's in your heart. It's in your mind. All those special occasions. You don't need the old push bike from when you were 10. Unless somebody else is riding it now, right now. What's your current lifestyle, like we were talking about before? Use the storage solutions that we talked about, the shelves, the cabinet, tool chest, vertical space, shelving, those magnetic racks. Get stuff off the floor, up onto the walls, and give things a permanent homes and put things back. And as it says, return items to their permanent home as soon as you have used them. So that's our workshop. We've got a few minutes now that we'll be able to ask any questions that you may have. Pop it in the chat if you've got something, or in a second we can go off mute. Remembering that this is going to go onto YouTube. So as long as you're happy to have your lovely voice and face on YouTube. But before we do that, before I stop the screen sharing, our next workshop is in 2 weeks' time and is the mid-year calendar declutter. It's a perfect time to go through the stuff that you've got in your diary and on your to-do list and to decide, how can I free up more time for the important things? Do you want to keep moving things around and decluttering and re-rolling your clothes and resorting everything all the time? Or can you spend your time on something more fun, on a different project? So that's what we're going to be looking at for the mid-year calendar declutter. Don't forget about the one-on-one coaching that I started to tell you about at the start of the session. If you think you need some accountability, we can do some Zoom calls, 1 hour over 6 weeks, and we can help you stay accountable. So that's the Get and Stay Focused coaching program. Would love to have you join me for that. That's just one-on-one coaching, that one. That's not a group session. That's just you and me talking about your organising. We could talk about anything in the home or also in the garage as well. Mary Lou has put the chat to book that one in, put the link for the chat in there. And also there's a 15-minute follow-up call after this session. Mary Lou will put the link to book that. So take a copy of those ones if you would like to get and stay focused. Come and join me. Let's work together. Katrina, I'm not sure about those, if you can get those magnetic strips from Bunnings. I'm pretty sure you could. I'd have to check that out myself. I'm sure you could. I'm sure you could. Gloria says food pantry shelving area, or panning, rotating your food jars and items. That's a great idea. If you do your own canning, preserving, you might want a nice rack to be able to do that, and then have it easy to rotate, and then you can see it, and it's not at the back of the cupboard and going out of date. That would be absolutely awesome, Gloria. Good on you. Thank you for sharing that idea. Again, the links that Mary Lou has put in the chat. Declutter your calendar is coming up in a couple of weeks. The link for that is there. Get and Stay Focused program link if you'd want some one-on-one coaching. And also, if you just want to chat about your organising needs, book a discovery call with me. All right, let's stop sharing. We've got 6 minutes. If anyone would like to ask their specific questions, again, pop it in the chat or take yourself off mute. Let me know. Also, are there anything else that I didn't cover today? Or, as I mentioned before, would love to hear what your things are that are working for you in your home. And also, what was your favourite tip of the day? What did you find out to be the best? What was, oh, okay, I haven't thought about that before. Or, yes, I'm going to do that. Thank you, Joan. Joan says, excellent session. Any tips on setting rules for others? That's a very good question, Joan. What I generally say in relation to organising others is get yourself organised first. And I always use this example of our kitchen bench, and it is an absolute disgrace at the moment because I haven't got around to tidying it up this morning. Get yourself organised, because often I'll look around and go, oh, that's looking messy, and then I'll look at that space and go, oh, hang on a minute, that's mine. That's my drink bottle. That's my lunchbox. So get yourself sorted first. And then you can literally come up with some house rules. If you don't want to dump things in your garage, let the other people know in the home what the rules are, what can go in the garage, what doesn't go in the garage, and what are the rules and the process for them to be able to get rid of things if you've decided that no, it's not coming into the garage or even into the home in the first place. But have a chat with them, get them to work with you or you work with them. With my teenagers, you know, sometimes their rooms are an absolute disgrace, but I'll offer to give them a hand every now and then, to go and give them a hand, pick up their stuff. I help people declutter and get organized every day. They know how to do it. It's really not a big thing for them. They don't care if their things are on the floor. And I've learned to live with it. So decide what you'll accept as well, Joan. I love what you're probably suggesting there, is that it's not how you want your home to be. So I think having good communication with people as to what's acceptable and what isn't is important. So the guidelines are clear. Get yourself organized and give them a hand so that they can do it. And I also, as well, particularly with my kids, let them do it their way. If it gets to pretty well how you wanted it to be, or yes, the stuff does get in the washing, or yes, they do get their things to the dishwasher, it might be the day after I wanted it to, but if things work pretty good, maybe that's good enough. But that's for you and your family to decide, what are you happy with. Just saw something else in the chat from Gloria. Leave directions for the right place for return and notify when stock is low. That's a good idea. Thanks, Gloria. That's a good one, to be able to know what's in your inventory. If we're talking about back to your canning idea, have a nice little stock list so that you can know what's going on there. What other questions? 2 more minutes. Thank you. Well, it has been a pleasure doing this workshop with you today. I could talk about garages and getting organised and making those spaces even more organised, but I can't wait to hear how you go decluttering and organising your space and what you come up with. Gloria, keep me posted about getting your space sorted out for your woodworking. That sounds great. And I'm sure there's other people that have joined us today that want to use their garage for other things, not just storage, not just junk, not just tripping over and hurting yourself. I'm sure there's lots of great things that you could do as well by using your space and your time well and getting yourselves organized. Yes, thank you, Mary Lou. Thank you, everybody, for coming along. Mary Lou's just given everyone a thumbs up and said thanks for joining, and I do thank everybody. We'll finish up now. If there's any other questions you have, send me an email, Julie at you're welcome, Wiki. Great to see you. Thanks for joining. Julie at spaceandtime.com.au, and let me know if you've got any questions that we didn't get to today. But thanks so much for joining. There we are. Thank you. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Mary Lou. In the chat is that link. You're welcome, Katrina, and thank you. I do appreciate it. I enjoy working with you as well, and thank you for saying that. It's a nice person to have in your home. I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Thanks, Mary Lou. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Julie. Bye, everyone.